It's been a while since I done one of these riding talks, but I got a comment from a viewer who asked the following question. They were basically asking, how do you deal with regret, self-regret? And they were watching my series on riding and how motorcycle riding impacts your mental health. So I thought that this question would be best answered as a video. And if you watch to the end, I'm going to give you my 3 ways that I deal with regret. But before I do that, I need you to know that I'm human just like you, and I've dealt with regret before. Maybe this is actually a video I need to make because I believe it'll be therapeutic for me, helpful for that viewer, and helpful for many others that are just dealing with difficult situations in life. You see, my dad left me when I was 5 years old, and that had always hurt me and stuck in my mind throughout the years of me growing up. Fast forward many years down the line, I joined the Marine Corps. I was stationed in Japan, and this is when, I got a girl pregnant. And I can remember being so scared. I was scared that I would be like my dad. I was scared that I would fail. I was scared I wouldn't be good enough as a father. And I can remember thinking to myself that I didn't know how to be a father. How could I be a father when I never even had a good example of a good father? And that's when I realized and told myself, dude, just be the opposite of your dad. Be present. Be involved. Love your son. Raise him to the best of your ability. Keep your word to your son. And I can remember being in Okinawa, Japan. My dad finally got in contact with me out of the blue. I think my brother might have gave him my number or something, but it was really weird and surreal because he finally called me one day after my first son was born. And the last time we had spoke, I was only 5 years old. This was when he promised me that he would come by and visit me for Christmas that year when I was 5, and he never did. That was the last memory and my last interaction with my dad. So when he finally called me and started talking about the past and making excuses and trying to justify himself, man, I just lost it, and responded in a really passive-aggressive way. I told him that it was too late. I told him that I had survived the ghetto that he left us in, and I was a man now. I had survived the traps of the street, and I was a man now. I had avoided jail, gangs, and drugs. I survived boot camp and became a Marine. I was a man now. I was a man, and now I had a son named Eric. We agreed to start fresh, but just like the years before when I was 5, he failed to keep his word again and really didn't participate in building our relationship. I told my son's mother that I never would want to have a black boy grow up and become a statistic of a fatherless home. I never wanted my son to go through everything that I've been through in my life at this point, especially regarding a relationship with his father. I told her he needs me and I'm going to be there. A few years later, we were married and we had our second son. His name was Adriel. He was born, but all was not well. You see, I didn't know how to be a husband and she didn't know how to be a wife. We both came from broken homes with broken hearts, and we really didn't know how to communicate or build what we never had. You see, we never had a stable family. We never came from a stable family. 2 years later into that marriage, I became a Christian, and this was right when our marriage fell apart. It was one of the hardest things I ever dealt with in my life. And because she knew how important my sons were to me, she did everything, or at least it felt like she did everything she could to keep them away from me. I can remember her saying to me that her cheating partner would never replace me as the boy's father. I looked in her eyes and told her he's already replaced me as a husband, so how much longer until you play house and he replaces me as a father? That first Christmas after the divorce, I spent it alone in an apartment with no furniture, and shortly after I would go homeless. I always knew that I should cry, but I just couldn't, and I wouldn't allow myself to. And this is really where I think regret began to set in. All I thought about, all I talked about, all I felt was how I was just like my dad, a failed father. And it hurt me so much. I began to regret ever meeting her. I began to regret ever having children. I began to regret every move I had ever made in that relationship. And I would frequently say to myself, I've never regretted anything in my life except for this. For the next 2 years, I became depressed. I cut off my friends. I cut off my family members and those that love me the most. I even cut off God and wouldn't talk to him. You see, it was dumb, but this is what regret did to me. And I think this is why it is extremely important to handle setbacks in life fast. Now, despite the legal agreements to see Eric and Adrielle, things just haven't worked out. It's like a broken record of broken homes that's being played on repeat. But now I'm more mature in my faith with Jesus. I'm more mature as a man, and I'm more mature with a strong family of 3 daughters. Since that time, man, I faced many setbacks, and I still do face setbacks. But this is how I deal with them now, and I hope that it can help answer the question of how you can deal with regret. Number 1, understand that regret in and of itself is not bad nor negative. You see, we live in a society that shuns bad feelings. We live in a society that makes us feel bad about feeling bad, and it becomes a death spiral because we begin to feel bad about feeling bad for feeling bad. But I'm here to tell you that it's okay to feel bad. It's okay to have negative feelings. It's a part of the human experience, and it's the pain that we experience in life that makes the joy we experience in life so sweet. Number 2, we need to reframe our relationship with regret. Understand that we feel regret because we have done something or we are existing in a state of being that is out of alignment with our true self. I'm going to say that one again. We need to reframe our relationship with regret. We need to understand that we feel regret because we have done something or we are existing in a state of being that is out of alignment with our true self. Number 3, realize that regret is actually a friend that is acting as a compass to point you to 2 things. Number 1, regret points you towards your true destiny and calling in life. You see, I regretted having a failed marriage and not being the father I wanted to be. But now I have a successful marriage and I strive to be an awesome father to my 3 daughters. You see, my regret acted as a compass to point me to work on myself and to present myself in my affairs in life in a way that allows me to be effective as a dad and a husband. And number 2, regret forces you to reconcile a lack of character traits that you must develop to be who you need to be to fulfill your destiny. It reminds me of Peter when he denied Jesus 3 times. In the book of Matthew, chapter 26, verse 35, Peter said unto him, "Though I should die with thee, yet will I not deny thee." Likewise, also said all the disciples. Peter told Jesus, "God, I will die before I deny you." But in the verses of chapter 26, Matthew chapter 26, verses 69 through 75, we see that Peter denied Jesus 3 times. And it's in verse 75 where the Bible reads, Peter remembered the words of Jesus, which said unto him, "Before the cock crow, thou shalt deny me thrice." And he went out and wept bitterly. Now we know that Peter went on to do great things, but first he felt regret and wept because he was not in alignment with who he truly was. Remember, when you feel regret, it is simply a reminder to realign yourself, to realign your priorities, and to realign your relationships. When you feel regret, it is time to realign. Do not let it overtake you. How can you realign? Well, here's a way. Go do the things that made you happy in the past. Even if you don't feel like doing it right now, go do it. How can you realign? Go start a new hobby. How can you realign? Go help someone else in their time of need or give them an encouraging word. That's how you can realign. You see, many times when we help someone else in need and we encourage them, we actually begin to encourage ourselves and help ourselves. The help that we provide to someone else becomes the medicine that our souls need to heal from regret. All right, that's it, bro. I hope that helps. I hope that answers your question to you who sent me that. I hope that that helps the questions that many of you have out there if you're dealing with regret. Hopefully this is helpful. All right, I'm out. See y'all on the next one.